Welcome back to Inspiring Generations. My name is Celeste Williams, and I'll be your host today. I have in studio today a wonderful woman that I admire. She has inspired me to get more involved in the community for a very long time. She doesn't know that I know that what she's been working on, I've been interested as well in the environment and the protections of our waters and our air. All those things are very important to me. And when I find people that can inspire other people to get up and take notice of their community, take notice of the environment, I mean, it's a subject after my heart. And you know, on this platform, I use it to talk about many things: history, art, culture. We talk about life. We talk about so many things on this platform. Since February, I've been doing Inspiring Generations, and I've had some wonderful guests come on and give words of inspiration to help people through this hard time that we're going through. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Roseann Bongiovanni to Inspiring Generations. Welcome, Roseann.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's so wonderful to be with you as always.
Yes, yes. Well, we haven't seen each other in a long time.
We haven't.
I think the last time we did see each other, you had like this team working on a mural up on Beacon Street.
Oh yes, that's right. I was going to say it was a protest, but you're right, and you joined us and you helped paint the mural.
Yes,
at
that's
O'Neill
the last
Playground.
Time we
Yes,
saw each other.
And it was hot that day too.
Hello.
Just like it is today.
Hello, and for some reason that day, I saw everybody in different ways, because I know you have commissioned murals, right? But to actually see you in the element of like on scene, that was the first time. Like on scene, besides Sylvia Chavez Lopez,
right,
with the Chelsea Walk.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
Oh, that was amazing. That mural came out beautifully, and I think back to that. That was a few years ago, and you were there every single day at the Chelsea Walk painting with Sylvia every single day for like 3 weeks, and those days were super hot, and you guys were under the sun. And but when I go back to the Chelsea Walk mural and I see how beautiful it is, it just reminds me that when community comes together, we can transform our community in such amazing, powerful, inclusive ways. Yeah. And I feel like that Chelsea Walk, the walkway, the artwork above and on the two walls, and the flowers just is
all the
so beautiful. Yes.
Representing all the cultures.
Right.
That are here in Chelsea. And I still, that space is so personal to me. Only because, you know, I have some little touches there.
Yeah, a lot of little touches.
But not only that, it's like people know that I'm around and they won't tag it.
Right, good, yes.
Like the PR person, I'm like, hello,
and
you need to know anything.
I think that's what's so important, right? I think that's one of the things that we strive to do is the more you engage community, the more they're bought into, they take ownership over the projects and they protect them. And you, as somebody who lives in the neighborhood, feel really protective of that space. I mean, you had a lot of sweat and blood and tears probably on that mural, and so you care about it deeply, and folks know that you were there every single day, and I feel like that brings more respect, and it's harder to go and destroy something that you know somebody who's so wonderful in the community has really invested in. So yeah.
But not only that, the volunteers that you draw near through GreenRoots, they're amazing. They are so amazing. And I saw people older than myself out there doing it. So how could you not?
Yeah.
You know, you're like, she's older than me and she's so happy and what she's doing. So it makes you want to get engaged in the community.
Absolutely.
But as I was researching, right, that's what we've been doing that's up to date. But when I think back, and I'm going back when the Williams School was closed, and down by Eastern Ave, the new school was being built. So when I think back, I'm like, 25 years, Roseann's been, doing this work.
Even though I'm only 21, right?
Right. Because us girls, we don't age, and we're not going to tell our age. So we won't get that out of her today. But my daughter was at the Hooks in 1996. And I lived down in the Mace apartments by Chelsea Creek, which I dreaded living there. Hello, I did. Only because of the stench.
Yep.
Only because of the stench. It was unbearable at times, And I used to say, why don't they clean this place up? You would see the trash, like from the beach, like washed down at the end of the creek, and I'd be like, and I didn't know what to do about that until GreenRoots came along, and they were actually, that was like 96, 97, they were talking about the tanks, the ethanol trains coming through these different communities, and I jumped on board and signed the petition. I was like, yeah, we can't have that. And when I was thinking back, like I said, as I researched, I was like, so you did have, I'm talking to myself at this point. When you talk to yourself, it doesn't mean you're crazy, just don't answer back. So I said, I must have been interested in the environment and just human rights and justice for a long time. But it takes something to bring that out of you, right?
Right.
So when GreenRoots, finally got up and started, I didn't know that you were the executive director is sitting here in studio with me of GreenRoots, Chelsea. She has commissioned over what you raised, like, oof, can we say the dollar amount?
It's just a lot.
15 million or more.
Sure.
Did you hear that, people? So yes, Miss Roseann's been busy working, raising funds to do different projects in Chelsea. And she's going to tell us a little bit about, the air quality thing, because she did post it on social media, but now that she's in studio, for our elders that are not online, this would be a great time to engage them in updating them on how our air quality is doing.
Sure. Thank you again for the invitation to join you today.
You're welcome.
You always inspire me, and I love to see you in the community because you're always so pleasant and welcoming and wonderful. I think when you think about the environment, a lot of people think, oh, trees and the forests and the polar bears, but really, in Chelsea, we're the smallest city in Massachusetts, and we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. So essentially, we're a peninsula, but I don't think any of us who've grown up in Chelsea would ever say, oh, I live in a waterfront community. And I think what's important to note is, why don't we say that, right? If you live on a peninsula or an island, why wouldn't we say we live in a waterfront community?
Right.
And that's because for decades, for years, we haven't had access to that waterfront. All industries have dominated the waterfront and have blocked our access to the Chelsea Creek and the Mill Creek where you lived, and the Island End River and the Mystic River. And I think over the last 25 years, we've been slowly ticking away at trying to create access to that waterfront so that the generations like my kids and other kids will grow up in Chelsea and say, hey, we lived in a waterfront community. We went kayaking and we went to this waterfront park and we biked on the Chelsea Creek. And that's the goal, right? I think is for us to feel like we can have a little bit of environment in small little Chelsea.
Right.
Why can't we? Why shouldn't we?
Right.
And so I think what we do at GreenRoots is we're trying to improve public health and improve the environment, and also to lift up the fact that lots of folks live here and industries shouldn't be polluting our health, maybe because we're poor or we're working
Right.
class or we speak
Right.
more than 30 languages or we've come here from other countries or we're people of color or we're women or immigrants. No, we all deserve the same rights to access healthy,
right.
clean environments and healthy air and land to be on, to breathe, and to access on our waterfront. And so I think that's really what GreenRoots is doing. And so for folks who are at home and say, GreenRoots, they're just an environmental group. We really aren't. It's really about people.
So
right?
much more.
And how people should benefit from our environment instead of being impacted negatively by it. And so one of the things that we've done recently, as you sort of asked me to talk about, is we won a major victory in that we have these air quality monitors in Chelsea now. And so for years, we were doing air quality monitoring on our own, just like regular resident activists. We had little air quality monitors. Sometimes we would put them on our waistband of our pants and walk through the city or on bicycles, and that could monitor the air, and it would tell you different levels of pollution and what days are healthy to breathe air in Chelsea, what days aren't, it didn't necessarily say where the pollution was coming
Right.
from, but if you were by a truck and all of a sudden your monitor spiked, you knew that that truck was emitting pollution
Right.
or from the airport and the planes overhead. But those monitors, because they're on our person or they're small or they're not recognized by the state or federal government as sort of like traditional monitors,
Right.
they could argue that our data wasn't accurate. And so we fought for a lot of years, and now we have one stationary or one permanent monitor. It's at Highland Park. So if you're at Highland Park and you're over by the soccer field, it's all the way at the end, sort of close to the MWRA pumping station. And what it's doing is it's monitoring Chelsea's air 24 hours a day.
Cool.
At midnight, at 3 a.m.,
cool.
at 4 a.m., at 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
and you can log on, and that's complemented by 9 of the more mobile monitors. They're sort of scattered throughout the city. A few city councilors have them at their homes, a few local businesses, some residents have them. And so you could log on to our website at www.greenrootschelsea.org, go into our programs and look under See Heat. That stands for Chelsea Heat Project. And there's a link there and you can click on it and you can see all the air quality data for Chelsea. And so what we're going to be doing is monitoring that data and sharing it out with the community to say, hey, today's not a good air day, or today is a good air day. You should go out and go for a walk and go on that waterfront, right? But on the poor air days, we're going to try and connect with residents and see, how do you feel? Do you have asthma incidents? Do you, how is the air quality impacting you?
This is great.
And we're also going to try and figure out,
I love that.
why is the air so polluted today?
Right.
Is it because there's a lot of traffic or because there are planes overhead? And then I think what we do as an organization, right, is we're trying to engage people. So if people are like, hey, Chelsea's air quality is really bad, we want to take on a campaign to fight X polluter, we're going to do that so that we can achieve better air quality for all of us here in Chelsea.
Yeah, because I don't live by the creek anymore, but the creek, I do go back down there. And it's much better since GreenRoots has been involved. And I'll vouch for that. And I'll always say it's much better since GreenRoots came, because nobody was doing anything about it before. And now I live in the area of the plains. So I step out my house, and sometimes I cannot breathe. I can smell, they literally fly right over, I'm in the path, like right over the bridge. And you can smell the exhaust from the planes, like concentrated in that one area. So sometimes my granddaughter has asthma and doesn't want to open the windows.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's 90 degrees outside. She goes, but the air stinks. I'm like, I know. So we got our air purifier.
Excellent.
That's one step into helping out, right?
We're in the process right now. We just got a big grant to do something similar, to try and buy a number of air purifiers for homes in Chelsea so that air is better when you're in your home, right? And so we're looking to partner with our health institutions to see if there's a way to connect it with our residents in Chelsea who have the most compromised respiratory and cardiovascular system. So folks who have high levels of asthma or might have a nebulizer or major cardiovascular heart disease, can we get the health institutions to prescribe a purifier? So let's take you for example. So let's say your granddaughter has asthma. Let's say she went to a health institution. She had, or MGH or Beth Israel. My asthma's kicking up. Maybe her doctor would say, we're going to prescribe you an air filter through GreenRoots, and we would get that air purifier to you. You could put it in your home, and then we'd talk with you throughout the course of maybe the next few months to see if is air quality actually improving in your home. Because you're absolutely right. And people might say, oh, those folks in Chelsea, they're just overreacting about the airport. But no, you're absolutely right. When the planes fly overhead, they spread out these emissions and they fall in a pathway
Gives me a headache.
underneath with all of the homes and residents. We've monitored that through air quality monitoring and found that, that jacks up our air pollution a lot and it makes us unhealthy.
I could just tell him with my breathing. And Roseann knows a lot about this subject because, she graduated with a degree, her master's degree, public health, Boston University. So who better would I come to ask about these things that are, plaguing our community? And, we all are responsible for, some pollution at some point, in the community. But if we can help, and not make our carbon print so heavy, that we can't get out of it. It's too late. We all have health problems. And, and it's a continuous thing. So I'm so happy that GreenRoots is, continuing, 25 years doesn't seem, I want to celebrate you. It doesn't seem like, a little time. And then on the other end, it seems like a lot of time, right?
Yep.
Because of the pushback sometimes that GreenRoots gets for bringing these issues forward.
Yeah.
So you do need the whole team behind you.
Totally.
And I saw on the website that there's doctors involved, people that have PhDs, people that are just regular Chelsea community residents. Me, myself, I'm a lifetime volunteer for GreenRoots. Anything that GreenRoots is doing, I love to take part in. Only because I know that they stand for, the things that matter most, and that's the quality of life that we want to have here. And moving right along, Roseann, your parents.
I was going to say, my parents wanted me to say hello to you today. They just love you. They adore you.
I miss you so much. You don't even know. The senior center's open now. We haven't had a monthly.
They're looking forward to getting back in there.
But my mother is too. She keeps asking about your parents. She goes, have you seen the couple, the woman with the beautiful shoes? I mean, do you mean Roseann's parents? Because she remembers you. She doesn't know their names. She forgot.
That's okay.
And I told her, Mom, it's okay to forget because she thinks she's getting Alzheimer's. So.
Oh boy, then I'm getting Alzheimer's too because I forget everything.
She just belted out a full song at Welch's last week. She's good.
Oh my gosh.
For a funeral, she's good. So tell your parents I said hi.
I will definitely.
I love them. They raised a beautiful, beautiful daughter.
Well, thank you.
That has 2 children, right?
Yes.
2 beautiful children.
Beautifully fresh. They're beautiful, but they're also beautifully fresh.
You're strong-minded.
They're just like their dad.
You're strong-minded, Roseann. Do they like getting, when it comes to the children, sometimes, it's hard to get them to get engaged. Do your children like being engaged, like what you do?
I think what they say mostly is, wow, she has a lot of meetings. Like, Dada, she's got so many meetings. And I don't take them to all of our events, but the ones that they're that they get most excited about are the canoeing and kayaking events. They just love to go on the Chelsea Creek. And so every spring they're like, when are we going to do that again? When are we going to do that again? And last year throughout the pandemic, they asked a lot. And I said, I know, we're just not going to be able to have these events this year. So this year we'll get back into it. And they both really like to paint. So they've come to some of the mural painting events. And then a few weeks ago, my colleague had organized a cleanup on Island End River, and it was a hot Saturday, and I didn't think that they would be all that excited about it. And they both grabbed trash and the trash pickers, and they were like, there's a competition, right? If we collect all these bags of trash, will we get a trophy?
Oh, I love it.
Sure, you'll get a trophy.
Love
and
it.
so they collected a bunch of trash, and they were
that's
pulling stuff out of
awesome.
the creek, and they were really excited. So, yeah.
Yes, because they will be future, you know, if they get inspired by mom, because on this platform we usually, like most of my guests, when I ask them, like, what inspires you? And it will be their mom, or, you know, most of what they have comes from home.
Yep.
So when you were young, like them, growing up, did your parents keep you engaged in community activities and, you know?
Honestly, no. I mean, not really.
Yes, you can be honest about it
We-
because it's the good, bad, and the ugly here.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, we spent a lot of time with family. That's really where our sense of community came from, was being together with family. We were always with family. But my mom and my aunt will say, you have this in you from your great-grandmother. So my great-grandmother came here from Italy. She and my grandfather on my mother's side, and they made their home in Chelsea, and they had some properties. They had Rita's flower shop, and she was very active politically, and she was active in the community. And unfortunately, I never got to meet her. But her daughters were a little bit less. Her daughter and her son, Fuzzy, was more involved in the community, but they were less so. And so I didn't really know about the extent of her activism and engagement until I was older. I don't know what it was. When I went to Chelsea High School, I sort of felt really connected to Chelsea High and being involved at Chelsea High and in community there. But it was really when I graduated, and I was really fortunate to get a BU Chelsea scholarship. And I went to Boston University, and BU seemed, miles and miles and miles away, even though it was 5 minutes away by driving, right? And just a few miles away. It just seemed so far, and so I was looking for something to keep me in Chelsea and keep me grounded here. And so I got a job as a community organizer, and I didn't know what community organizing was at the time. And so I think what really started to inspire me was there was a group of folks from Boston who came out and said, "What are you doing on the Chelsea Creek?" And I was like, "The what? What are you talking about?" And not, really didn't give much thought to, we have waterfront in Chelsea. We have this river. Like, I was on that river a few times as a kid, but, my dad and my brother and I went fishing when we were younger at Forbes, and we were there for hours and we had a great time, but we didn't catch one fish.
Okay.
And then I'd walk my aunt's dog with her again down at Forbes, and we were trespassing because there was no public access. So we just used to go over the bridge, and that's how you got close to the water's edge. And I didn't think about that until many years later when I was, 18 or 19 or 20, and thought, wait a minute, we have all this water surrounding Chelsea, and yet we don't really have any parks or open spaces to go to access it. Why is that? And then I realized that all, driving down Eastern Ave or Marginal Street, it was all oil tanks and industries, and it didn't click to me as a kid, because you sort of, you just accept status quo, but when you start to really look and say, wait a minute, what is that? Why is that here? What's on the other side? Why can't residents of Chelsea access their waterfront? And why is it that so many of our fellow neighbors are sick?
Right.
It started to click to me that, whoa, this is not fair. There's all this industry in Chelsea. And when I compared it to other communities outside of Chelsea, like Newton and Wellesley and some of the wealthier communities, I thought, whoa, this is just not fair. And so I think that's what started to inspire me, that the sense that Chelsea residents weren't getting a fair share. They weren't getting a fair shot at living healthy, quality lives and having the same access to waterfront that we would in other communities. And so that ignited the fire of like, well, we're going to
Yeah.
fight back. You know,
Yeah.
this is not cool, and we're
Right.
going to organize folks, and we're going to empower them, and we're going to fight back, and you're going to
so glad
see
you fought back.
that small little Chelsea is mighty and powerful, and we
Right.
will fight back.
And we have people that care.
That's right.
That
Absolutely.
truly care about where we live. Because you spent all your life here, opposed to somebody that's just coming and seeing Port Park
Right.
cleaned up. If you didn't know what it was like before, you heard what Roseann said. We had no access at all to those parts of the waterfront. Being that I live by Forbes, I understand and I was my sickest in health-wise. Living on that end, I was my sickest.
Wow.
You know, I ended up having like 5 operations.
Oh my gosh.
Living on that side of town.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, but we're still here, right? We got more work to do, people. So I totally understand. And I didn't know there was kayaking. So now everyone knows that there's
Yeah.
Access to kayaking, because when I learned to kayak, flew all the way to California.
Oh my gosh.
Laguna Beach,
Nice. Well, that's a nice place to go kayaking.
kayaking. And that was the first time, because I had an injury, that I didn't have to use my legs to do anything. So it was
Yeah.
a good thing for me to rehab through the injury. So I took up kayak, but I went to my brother's house all the way.
Oh my gosh. We'll invite him over
But
now. We'll have it kayaking
now
in
we
Chelsea
can
Creek.
kayak right here on the waterfront in Chelsea.
That's right.
Such a beautiful thing that you guys are doing. I can keep saying it forever. But there are surveys that GreenRoots does, right?
Sure. Yes.
About health.
Yep.
I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that program. You know, every once in a while they call me and they say, hey, can we ask you questions about your health, how you feeling?
Sure.
It's so nice for someone to call you up and care about,
Totally.
you know, if you're not getting it from other people, you know.
Yeah.
Say no one asks you and you get a call from GreenRoots.
Right.
You know, you're like, I love these people. They're asking me how I feel today. Nobody does that. But it's also important data.
Yes. Yes. So I
You know,
think
on a serious note, it's
Yeah.
very important data
totally.
that is resourceful
Right.
for
Right.
your organization, right?
You know, really for the whole community. So, you know, through COVID, Chelsea was hit so hard by, you know, just the extremely high rates of coronavirus infections. We were 6 times the state's rate throughout many, many months. We were on the top of the state's tier for cities that had the highest infection rates. Our rates per capita were greater than New York City's hardest hit boroughs and some of the hardest hit cities in the entire nation. And one of the things that we did with the generosity of a funder was we started what's called a Health Equity Corps. Mm-hmm. And so they are 3 Chelsea residents, multilingual. They speak, between the 3 of them, they speak 4 different languages. And what their goal is to do is to connect with residents, just like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Hey, Celeste, how you doing
Yeah.
today? How's it going? Do you need anything?
Pretty
Can we
cool.
help connect you? Do you need food? Do you need help accessing a doctor? Do you need help finding a test? Do you know about the vaccine? Can we help you set up an appointment? What do you need? Do you need help with housing? And it's really to build, you know, to make sure that we're caring for our residents in Chelsea, and to hear some of the stories, like what happened? Why is Chelsea? Why are we so vulnerable to COVID? And so, one of the organizers' main role, her name is Priyanka, is to gather all of the research and data that's out there to say, this is what Chelsea's information and research is on air quality and open space and housing density and transit dependency. These are all of the reasons why Chelsea might have been so susceptible to those high infection rates. And at the end, we'll have a document that sort of collects it all and puts it in one place. But then we'll be able to look at it and say, based on this data, this is what should change.
And this is why we do what we do. And this is why we're advocating for
Yes, and
you know,
that's
these
why,
resources
yeah,
and
and so
and the funds and everything.
right. And when you said like this helps, yeah, the data helps because then we can say this is how we need to change things so that it's healthier and better for us.
Yes.
And we can make change together.
Oof. Let me tell you, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Only because she took time out of her busy day.
It's always a pleasure to be with you.
And all her meetings, kids. Mom's here. You know, I have so much more that I would love to talk to you about. But I know that there's other things that's going to come forward out of GreenRoots going forward, because it's took you 25 years to build this marvelous team of people.
Right.
And it's still growing, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is.
You know, so much more to do. Every time on the note of volunteering, Roseann, like I said in the beginning, has the best volunteers. They're out there giving PPE.
Yep.
You know, with the backpack, you'll see me wearing it sometimes. You'll know I got PPE. I'm going to be honest, I got it a couple of times.
Good, good. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll take one.
Gotta make sure our folks stay healthy,
and they
right?
look at me, they're like, didn't... I'm like,
take it.
It's, I need more. But on a serious note, I ask everybody this.
Sure.
Is there anything that you can say to inspire a young person or older person today
Sure.
to getting involved
Sure.
in the community?
I would say if you're a young person and you think you don't have power, it's just the opposite. Young people have all of the power in the world. And what makes a difference is that you stop and you say, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make change today. And I think if you saw a number of the members of our team, we all started as 18-year-olds, and here we are a few years later. And so, yes, if you're a young person, there's a lot of work to be done, and every little bit that you can contribute is significant. And for the older folks who are out there, you have the institutional, the historic knowledge, right? Like what you said, folks who are newer in the community, they might not know about Port Park. It's important for folks to remember what it was before and how we got there. And we got there together.
Now.
It's not about one person or two people. It's about a team of folks. So if we all come together, we're more powerful together.
I believe that, and I've seen so much change in our community going forward, even though, you're in and out of the community, and, once you have grandchildren, I think, and you're not.
I don't know that I'll make it there, Celeste. I don't know I'll make it through the teenage years.
But, I don't even know with the grandkids, because I got it early. I got them early. I didn't get them when grandparents were supposed to get them. And my daughter couldn't wait. But that's a subject for another time. But being a grandparent made me even more conscious of what I'm leaving behind. Right?
Right.
I don't even know how long I'm going to be on this planet. And if
Many
I can
decades.
inspire a young person, even my older friends, yes, the senior center is open now, so we have so much more things to do. And anytime, we can help, as a group of seniors, we're on board.
Awesome.
Anything that we can do to help in the environment, on the community. We're going to be back together doing monthly social soon.
Excellent.
So, like Roseann's parents, I love them, like I said, and we'll get to see them soon, right? And
Yes.
they'll be happy to get out.
Oh,
right?
yes, they're thrilled. They were supposed to start bocce on Tuesday, but it got canceled because it was so hot. So I think they're planning to start next
bocce
Tuesday, and they're
champs.
very excited. And my dad just joined the board of the Council on Elder Affairs, so he's all excited about
I'm so
that.
happy. I love him so much.
They're really looking forward to getting back to the center.
They're going to make great things happen.
Or they're going to shake things up. Who knows?
Well, hey, you said it. You said it. He's going to shake things up. Knowing his spirit and knowing his character, he is going to do well there.
I hope so. Yes, I look forward to it.
Chelsea, remember, Miss Roseann Bongiovanni is working hard. And the inspiration that she just gave you is that you can make change. You know, you can make changes in your environment. You can make changes in your home life, even if you don't like what's going on around you in your, just where you live. You can step up and make changes and reach out to GreenRoots.
Please.
And you can become a volunteer no matter what age you are. So I'm happy that they're here in the community. We don't want them to go anywhere. You know, they've been long-standing. They've teamed up with other organizations.
Absolutely.
Right? Like T&D, and
Yep.
they're doing a great job. And
Amazing. Yep.
I think the CBC
Yes, Chelsea Black Community has partnered with us on a
is-
number of
is-
projects.
is,
Yes.
is stepping up their game,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
They're out there doing. They're
awesome.
vaccine ambassadors right now.
They're
so,
amazing. Absolutely.
you know, these are our nonprofit organizations that I'm talking about right now that are in our community, trying to service, you know, each group where they need it. You know, multicultural, multilingual, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm going to end the show on that note with Miss Roseann.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
it's so nice
been
to
great.
be with you.
You know, we just want to inspire people on this platform. You know,
I feel like
more so, you know, getting engaged.
You all and the folks at Chelsea Community Cable often get overlooked, but without you, how would we be connected to community? So thank you to the team here
Yeah,
at Chelsea Community
one
Cable.
by one.
Yep.
One by one, if I can get people to just sit down for a minute, just be still for a minute, and let's have some organic talk. You know, it doesn't have to be so political.
Right.
Because I know that you have had your touch with politics, because I didn't know, folks, and this is on the last note, that this was one of our city councilors at one time, right?
Right. Yes.
I never had to stand before you and plead my grievances, but, but she has a lovely character, lovely spirit, and she's approachable, and she's much liked by me.
Thank you.
So,
Right
and I
back
don't
at
care
you.
what nobody says. Thanks for watching.